welcome to Standards and Skills, where you get it, we got it, and it's all good. Today, we'll be continuing the review session of the 2019 Grade 3 Mathematics Release questions. Today, we'll be looking at Session 2. Session 2 will be a mixture of a few multiple choice, but mostly extended response. Follow along as we look over the New York State test program. Scrolling down the screen, we will be looking at some tips for taking the test. Here are some suggestions to help you do your best. Read each question carefully and think about the answer before making your choice or writing your response. You have been provided with a ruler to use during the test. Use the ruler whenever you think it will help you to answer the question. Be sure to show your work when asked. Rule of thumb, always show your work whether you are asked or not, because showing your work will able to make you see clearly how you solve the problem, as well as how to check yourself to make sure that what you solve is actually correct. Let's continue on down the screen. This is an example of one of the multiple choice questions that will be in session 2. Number 26. The shape below is shaded to represent a fraction. Which shape is shaded to represent a fraction equivalent to the shape shown above? Let's continue down to our extended response, since this video is mainly focused on extended responses. As we are continuing down the screen, we will come across our very first extended response, number 34. It states, Wyatt wants to solve the equation below to find the missing factor. 8 times unknown equals 24. How can Wyatt find the missing factor by changing the equation to a division problem? Be sure to include the value of the missing factor in your answer. Now, we're going to get our drawing tool and begin to underline important details in this question to help us best find the correct answer. Before we begin, I'm going to write all 4 operations so I know which operation or operations is suitable for this specific question. So we have our multiplication sign, we have our division sign, we have our addition sign, and we have our subtraction sign. Okay, let's read again. Wyatt wants to solve the equation below to find the missing factor. How can Wyatt find the missing factor by changing the equation to a division problem? So first things first, Wyatt needs to solve for this unknown problem. Now, if we know our factors, 8 times an unknown number is going to equal 24. We know that 8 times 1 equals 8. 8 times 2 equals 16. And 8 times 3 equals 24. So for the first part of this equation, we solve by using multiplication. I'm just going to put a little check on top of multiplication operation, so we know that we are no longer using it again. Now let's read for a third time. How can Wyatt find the missing factor by changing the equation to a division problem? So we're going to underline some key important words. changing the equation to a division problem. If we are changing the equation 8 times unknown equals 24 to a division problem, we have to take the bigger number and the only factor we have, which is 8, and divide it. Therefore, we're going to change multiplication operation, which the inverse operation for multiplication is division, and we're going to write 24 divided by 8 equals 3. Remember, the inverse operation for division is multiplication. Therefore, the inverse operation for multiplication is division. We already saw the multiplication unknown number 8 times blank equals 24. And we figured out that the unknown number is 3. Now, how are we going to explain this? We can explain by stating 24 is the bigger number that must be divided by 8 which gives us the answer 3. In order to check my work for this division problem that has been changed, I'm going to draw 8 circles and make sure that in each of these 8 circles, I count up until I reach the number 24 to see if my answer 3 is truly the correct answer. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I have my 8 circles. I'm going to put a check on the number 8. So in order for me to make sure that I count up to the 24, I'm going to use the 8 circles and count by putting lines in each of the circles evenly. Because remember, division means that every circle is going to have a stick evenly until we reach our number 24. Let's begin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Therefore, I know that when I put lines in each circle up to our number 24, each circle holds 3 lines. So I counted to 24. Therefore, I'm going to put a check on 24. And I clearly see that dividing each stick evenly For each of the 8 circles, we have 3 sticks. Therefore, I'm going to check off the 3. Now I'm going to go back to the 4 operations that we put to the top right of the screen and check the division sign off. And I know that this equation did not ask for anything to be added or taken away. That was 34, which is our first extended response worked through. Now we're going to clear our boards and find another problem that we may want to work through. Clear all drawings, and let's continue on down the screen. Number 35. 2 families buy large sandwiches of the same size. Family A shares 1 sandwich equally among 4 people, as represented in the picture below. Family B shares 1 sandwich equally between 2 people. Will a person from family A get the same amount or a different amount of a sandwich as a person from family B? Be sure to include what you know about fractions or parts of a whole in your answer. Let's continue down the screen to our next question. Our next question is number 36. Susie made cupcakes for her friends. She started at 2:40 p.m. The list below shows the number of minutes it took to complete each step of the process. 9 minutes to mix the batter, 18 minutes to bake the cupcake, 5 minutes to let them cool, 10 minutes to frost the cupcakes. What time did Susie finish frosting the cupcakes? Remember to show your work. Continuing on down the screen, we arrive at question 37. Ashlyn rides her bike 2 miles to school and 2 miles home each day. How many total miles will Ashlyn ride her bike to school and home in 40 days? Let's get our drawing tool and work through number 37. I'm going to read it again to make sure that we comprehend what we are being asked. Ashlyn rides her bike 2 miles to school and 2 miles home each day. Therefore, I'm going to underline 2 miles to school and 2 miles home each day. How many total miles will Ashlyn ride her bike to school and home in 40 days? I'm going to underline what we are being asked to do. As I stated before we begin any solving of a question, we need to figure out what operation we'll be using. So once again, I will proceed and write all the operations to the right side of the screen that you may or may not use when taking this math test. We have our addition sign, we have our division sign, we have our multiplication sign, and we have our subtraction sign. This is going to be our third read. Ashlyn rides her bike 2 miles to school and 2 miles home each day. We're going to write 2 miles to school and 2 miles home. Each day. 2 miles to school and 2 miles home each day means I will be adding the first 2 mile and the second 2 mile together And we know that 2 plus 2 equals 4. Therefore, every day, Ashlyn rides her bike 4 miles in all to school. So I'm going to put a check on my addition sign since that's the first operation we use in this equation. Now we're going to continue because that's only part 1 of the question. Part 2 asks, how many total miles will Ashley ride in her bike to school and home in 40 days? So every day, Ashley has been riding her bike to school for a round trip of 4 miles in all. That's just for one day. So we're going to write 4 miles in all for one day. Now we're being asked how many miles does Ashley ride her bike in 40 days. Therefore, we are going to use the multiplication operation to continue this problem. We're going to take the 40 days and then we're going to multiply by the 4 miles it takes her in one day. 4 times 0 is 0, and 4 times 4 is 16. Therefore, Ashlyn will ride her bike to school and home in 40 days for a total miles of 160. That's what we're going to write so that there's no confusion. And if there are no lines on the state test, or there are lines but the lines run out, please know that you have the opportunity to create your lines so that your work is continuing to be neat and organized to the best of your ability. Ashlyn rides her bike for a total miles of 160 in 40 days. We showed our work and we closed it off by including the unit, which is miles, and finishing using complete sentences. Now we're going to clear our board with all of this drawing and continuing down to the next question. We are going down to question 38. Two figures are shown below. What is the difference in square feet between the area of figure A and the area of figure B? Remember that there is a key for this equation, and the key shows 1 square equals 1 square foot. Explain how you found your answer, and if these lines are not enough, make your own lines. Continuing on down the page, we're going to number 39. Gianna cuts a ribbon into equal pieces as shown below. She uses 4 pieces of the ribbon for a project. What fraction of the ribbon does Gianna use for the project? Now we're going to get our drawing tool again and work through this problem. Let's read it again for continued understanding. Gianna cuts a ribbon into equal pieces as shown below. So let's continue to count these pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we know that this entire ribbon is equal to 6 pieces. So 6 pieces is our denominator, which shows the whole. Now we need to find our numerator, which shows the part. She uses 4 pieces of the ribbon for a project. Therefore, we're going to shade in each piece and stop at the number 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we clearly see that out of the 6 pieces, the part that Gianna shaded in is 4. So now we have found our numerator, 4. What fraction of the ribbon does Gianna use for the project? Explain how you found your answer. We're going to say that Gianna used 4 pieces of the ribbon for her project, which is only part of the 6 ribbon pieces she has in all. We have shown our work by shading in 4 of the ribbon pieces. And we've also shown our work by counting each ribbon pieces and finding that the total amount of ribbon pieces is 6. Therefore, our fraction is 4/6. And that's what we're going to end our sentence by saying. The fraction of the ribbon Gianna uses is 4/6. Now we're going to clear our board and see what our next question will be asking. Continuing on down the screen to number 40. Miss Ross is making breakfast for her family. She makes 15 small pancakes to share equally among 3 people. How many small pancakes will each person get? Show your work. And part 2 to question 40 asks, Miss Ross also wants to give each person a glass of orange juice. If each person gets 8 ounces, how many total ounces of orange juice does she need? Remember to show your work. Since this is a 2-point question, more than likely the total that you can receive for this question is of 4 points. We are coming to the end of the New York State 2019 Grade 3 Mathematics Release questions. Remember, this state test is on time, so do not rush your work. If there are lines and you are writing and you run out of lines, you have the option to make your own lines. Do not feel that the lines that you see are the only amount of space available for you to continue your work. This is Standards and Skills, where you get it, we got it, and it's all good.